Hi friends, it's time for story time. Let's sing our song. Oh, I want to read with somebody. I want to read a book with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Good job. Before we start reading our story, let's do a body check. You should be in Magic 5. That means sitting on your bottom, hands and feet to myself, tracking eyes on the speaker, and everyone turn on your listening ears. Ready? Good job. Okay. Now, this is the front cover, and on the front cover of every story, of every book, there's lots of information. What's written on the front cover that tells us the name of the story? It's the title. Let's sing our song. The title is the name. The title is the name. Every book has a name. The title is the name. What else is written on the front cover? How about the name of the person who writes the words? The author writes the words. Author writes the words. And who draws the pictures? The illustrator. Illustrator draws the pictures. Good job, friends. The title of this story is A Log's Life. The author is Wendy Pfeffer and the illustrator is Robin Brickman. This is our second reading of this story. Today, when we read this book, we're going to think about what it would be like to live on the log. Let's get started. Deep in a forest, a great oak tree stands. A family of squirrels lives in a hole in the trunk. Remember, friends, we are thinking about what it would be like to live in this tree and in this log. A family of squirrels lives in the tree. I wonder what it's like for them. A porcupine chews on its branches. A colony of carpenter ants nests under the outer bark. There are the ants nesting under the bark. And a woodpecker pecks at the rough bark, searching for insects. He spears one, devours it, and hunts for more. Ooh, I notice for these animals that live in the tree, the ants are building a nest. That means they're building a place to live. The woodpecker is finding bugs to eat. He's finding food. So that's what it's like for them to live on the log in the tree. Wood-boring beetles burrow under the dark, chewing wood and leaving tunnels. Water and air seep into the tunnels. Toadstools and other fungi, such as mildew, molds, and mushrooms, sprout in these damp places. Slugs and snails crawl up the tree trunk into the tunnels and eat the fungi. Ooh, so for these animals who live in the tree, their life is about crawling around, finding food to eat, and digging tunnels. One stormy day, a strong wind whips through the forest. The old oak bends with every gust. Wow, there is a big storm and the tree is blowing in the wind. Oh my goodness. If you lived in the tree, what would that be like? How would you feel to be on this tree in the storm and the wind is blowing it? I would feel scared. I wonder if that's how the animals who live on the tree feel. Let's keep reading and find out. Rain pelts its branches. Wind tosses its leaves through the air. Lightning flashes and sizzles down its trunk. A thunderbolt crack startles the porcupine sleeping nearby. To startle something means to scare it. We learned that vocabulary word when we read the story, What to Do If an Elephant Steps on Your Foot. The porcupine is startled. That means he is scared. Would you feel scared if you were in a tree that was blowing so hard in the wind? Me too. That's how I would feel. Squirrels feel the trembling and scramble out of their hole. One strong gust of blustery wind tears the great oak's roots from the ground. The tree crashes down. Crash! Oh my goodness, the tree fell down. The tree crashes down, shaking the forest floor. Branches break, limbs splinter, leaves scatter. Wow. Now it's a giant log. Log. Remember, friends, the first time we read this story, we learned the vocabulary word log. A log is what happens when a tree falls down. It is not a tree anymore growing. Now it is a log. So we're thinking about what it would be like to live in the log. Soon the storm stops and the sun comes out. An umbrella of leaves and tangled branches block the sunshine from the forest floor. The porcupine comes out of its den. Friends, do you remember the porcupine in the story when it was storming and raining? The porcupine was startled. He was scared. Now the porcupine is coming out again. I think he feels better. The squirrels scamper to see the old hole that was once their home. Under the log, ants rush about, carrying white bundles of babies. A spider crawls through cracks and crevices, searching for a dry spot to place her egg sac. Millipedes settle between the log and the wet ground, for now they are safe from the spider. Termites soon discover the fallen log and move in. They not only eat the rotting wood, they lay their eggs there too. So friends, lots of different animals and bugs are coming to live in this log. They are eating and they are having their babies. For 3 or 4 years, through hot, cold, wet, and dry seasons, ants, beetles, fungi, slugs, snails, spiders, millipedes, and termites live in the log. One winter, the porcupine's hollow log collapses. He moves into the oak log too. There's the porcupine, he came back. In the spring, click beetles snap and click their bodies and flip high in the air before settling in the log. Salamanders, frightened by the noise and sudden movements, dart under the log for safety and stay. In the summer, pillbugs and slugs crawl inside the cool, moist log to keep from drying out. Pillbugs eat dead leaves. Salamanders eat the pillbugs. Slugs slip out at night and eat almost anything. I noticed that the animals and bugs who live in this tree, who live on this log, are eating their food and trying to stay safe in their homes. That's what their life is like on the log. What would your life be like if you lived in the log? The old log provides both food and shelter for the millipedes. The millipedes can eat the log, it is their food, and it provides shelter. Friends, can you say shelter? Let's clap that word. Shelter. Count it. Shelter. Shelter means a home, a place where you can stay safe. So the millipedes can eat the log for their food, and they can live in the log for their shelter. They eat decaying plants and trees, but spiders eat the millipedes. Several more years of hot, cold, wet, and dry seasons pass. Time, weather, and the chewing, pecking, boring, and tunneling of many animals and insects make the inside of the log spongy. That means there's lots of holes in the log. The outer bark becomes soft and damp. That means wet. Damp means wet. And gradually it falls to the ground. Friends, do you remember this part from our first reading of the story? The log is decaying or rotting. It is falling apart. Wood-boring insects have no wood to bore. Uh-oh, they don't have any food to eat. They find another log. The woodpecker hunts for other trees to peck. Spiders spin their webs in drier spots, and the porcupine moves to a more solid log. Friends, if you lived in this log, and the log gave you food and it gave you a place to live, but then the log started to fall apart, what would you do? Maybe, just like the porcupine and the woodpecker and the beetles, you would find a new log to live in. Let's find out what happens next to our log. Remember, our log is falling apart or rotting. Slowly, a lush green blanket of moss carpets the rotting log. Its thick roots break down the wood. Over the next few years, the log crumbles. What is left looks like dirt. It feels like dirt. It smells like dirt. It is dirt. The log fell apart and turned into dirt. Earthworms move in. They turn the soil over just as a shovel does. They burrow down and break up the soil just as a rake does. In about 10 years, the rotting log has become a mound of rich black earth. One autumn day, an acorn falls from a nearby oak tree. A squirrel buries it in the rich soil. A seedling oak sprouts and grows until what's going to happen? An acorn is a seed for an oak tree. So the squirrel planted the oak tree in the dirt. The tree got sunlight and water from rain, and it is growing and growing. What will it grow into? One day, deep in the forest, another great oak tree stands. Wow, look at this. The tiny tree sapling grew into a big oak tree. Squirrels move in. So do carpenter ants, beetles, and woodpeckers. The ants build nests. The beetles burrow. The woodpeckers peck. For years, life goes on in the oak tree. All these animals are living and eating in the tree. Then one night, the wind whistles through the trees. The old oak tree bends and shakes. It crashes to the floor. What is it now? Friends, remember, when a tree falls over, it is not a tree anymore. Now it is a log. And it becomes another giant log. The end. If you like my book, clap once. If you like my book, clap twice. 3, 2, 1. That book was fun.